Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. This is Shreya. I'm a E-certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition specialist. And today we are going to talk about, are carbohydrates making you fat, or is eliminating carbohydrates a good or a bad choice in order to lose fat? And this is a really controversial topic among fitness professionals, that should you or should you not be eating carbohydrates while losing fat. So before we get into this topic, before we get into all the sciencey stuff, let's redefine our goals for once. So our goal here is to lose fat. So during fat loss phase, we have two major priorities. Number one, obviously to lose fat, not just body weight, but specifically to lose fat. And along with that, to retain maximum amount of muscle mass, and in some cases, even gain some muscle mass if possible. Along with these two goals, our goal is also not just to lose fat for once, for a week or 2 weeks or 6 months. Our goal is to lose fat right now and then keep it off in the longer run. So keeping all that in mind, let's dive into this topic. Before I start talking about hormones and research and all that stuff, first of all, I want to talk about one of the most basic concepts, which is sustainability. Is your diet sustainable for you or not? If the answer is no, then that might not be the best diet for you. Is your diet something that you can follow in the longer run after 5 years? If the answer is no, then that diet is not sustainable. So now this question will have a different answer for each and every one of us. For me, a sustainable diet will be totally different compared to someone else. So if your diet isn't sustainable, if your methods to lose fat aren't sustainable, the fat loss is not going to be sustainable. And that's one of the reasons you should not be eliminating carbohydrates. Eliminating carbohydrates is not a sustainable way, a sustainable method for a lot of people. So that was the first point. So that was the first reason why you should not be eliminating carbohydrates. A lot of people lose weight at the first place, but after some time, after a year or after 5 years, they regain even larger amounts of fat. And answer is quite simple. The methods that they used to lose fat were not sustainable, and they were not able to sustain those methods and that fat loss, the goal that they achieved after that period. So again, if your methods are not sustainable, you won't be able to sustain that fat loss for longer periods of time. Before we move forward in the video, first of all, let's talk about why exactly people think that eating carbohydrates is making them fat. So this idea comes from a carbohydrate insulin hypothesis, which basically says that when you consume carbohydrates, your body produces a hormone called insulin, which is true, obviously. It does produce insulin. And the role of insulin is to manage your blood glucose levels. But a lot of people think that its role is to make you fat, which is not its role. Its role is to manage your blood glucose levels. You can still get fat even in the absence of insulin because of a hormone called acylation stimulating protein. Now, if you are in a caloric surplus, no matter if you are eating carbohydrates or not eating carbohydrates, you can still get fat because of this hormone. So, and there are quite a ton of studies on this, if not tons, then at least hundreds of studies and meta-analysis that show that when total calories are matched, no matter what, if you are consuming high carbohydrate diet or a low carbohydrate diet, you can still get fat in a caloric surplus. And if you're in a deficit, you will lose fat at the same rate when total calories and total protein content is matched. And if insulin is making you fat, then there's another macronutrient that causes a spike in insulin, which is something called protein. But obviously, protein is not something that makes us fat. And if this hypothesis was true, then protein would have made us fat. But it isn't, and there are quite tons of studies that show that this isn't possible. So again, one macronutrient is not responsible for making us fat. It's the total amount of calories that we consume over a long period of time, not just a single day, not just a single week, over a period of time. That's what makes us fat, not just carbohydrates. Because if insulin was something responsible for our fat gain, or was responsible for us not losing fat, then protein is also equally responsible for that. But is it? Obviously not. So till now, we know that number one, carbohydrates are not making us fat. You should not be afraid of them. Eat them. Number two, going on a low carbohydrate diet is not something that's sustainable for a large amount of us. So again, we should not be trying it if it's not sustainable for us. Now comes performance. Now, when I talk about performance, I'm talking about all of it. If we talk about endurance athletes, then going on a low carbohydrate diet resulting in taking them larger amounts of time to complete the same amount of distance that they were earlier completing in lesser amounts of time. Same goes for strength and power athletes also. So at the end, I would say it depends upon totally your goal. For general population, going on a low carbohydrate diet is not the best choice. Eliminating carbohydrates completely is not at all a good choice for your overall health. Going on a low carbohydrate diet for some period of time, or if it's sustainable, even for a larger period of time, can be good for you. Otherwise, going on a high carbohydrate diet is not going to do anything bad for your health, even in terms of cardiovascular health or overall obesity. You can still lose fat while consuming a large amount of carbohydrates, given you are in a caloric deficit. Thanks for watching the video. I even wrote a detailed article on this. The link to the article is in description box. Do check that out. And till then, do follow us and subscribe for more content like this.